Greetings. Welcome to the Soul Whisp. I'm your storyteller, Carlisle Munson. Today's story is called The Tin Cup. In the summer of 1978, in the sun-scorched high desert of Kern County, California, two friends, Lila and Rosie, both 24, spent their weekends chasing thrills at the Willow Springs Raceway. They'd been inseparable since birth, born 3 days apart in the same hospital, their mothers sharing a room. Lila, with her wild auburn curls and a laugh that turned heads, was the dreamer, always chasing something bigger. Rosie, quieter, with sharp green eyes and a knack for fixing things, kept them grounded. They'd grown up in a sleepy town near the raceway, where the hum of engines was the loudest thing around. At the track, they'd perch on the bleachers, sipping warm Cokes, giggling over the drivers in their leather suits, their helmets gleaming under the sun. "That one's got a movie star jaw," Lila would say, pointing. Rosie'd roll her eyes but smile, secretly picking her own favorite. One August evening, they stayed until dusk, the sky bruising purple as the last race ended. The drivers waved, and Lila blew a playful kiss, making Rosie blush and tug her toward their beat-up '72 Chevy Nova. They took their usual route home, a shortcut along a cracked asphalt road that wound past the Tropico Gold Mine, shuttered since the 1940s. The mine's skeletal remains, rusted equipment, crumbling shacks, loomed against the horizon, a ghost of the gold rush that once promised fortunes. The girls barely noticed it, too busy singing to a Statler Brothers cassette, the windows down, the desert air warm on their skin. Halfway home, the Nova sputtered, coughed, and died. Rosie cursed under her breath, popping the hood while Lila held a flashlight, its beam weak against the darkening desert. "It's the carburetor again," Rosie said, wiping sweat from her brow. "We're stuck." No cars passed this lonely stretch, and their cell phones were a decade from existing. Lila squinted toward the mine, spotting a faint, flickering light in one of the old shacks. "Maybe it's the caretaker," she said, hopeful. Rosie hesitated, the desert silence too heavy, but nodded. They grabbed their purses and started walking, the crunch of gravel under their sneakers the only sound. The shack was weathered, its wood bleached by years of sun. The light glowed through a cracked window, steady like a lantern. Lila knocked, her voice bright but nervous. "Hello? Anyone home?" The door creaked open, revealing a man, maybe in his 30s, lean and weathered, with dark hair falling into eyes that seemed too old for his face. He wore a faded flannel shirt and denim pants, like something from a sepia photograph. "You girls lost?" he asked, his voice low with a faint drawl that didn't quite place. "We're not lost," Rosie said, stepping forward. "Our car broke down. Can we use your phone?" The man smiled, almost sadly. "No phone here. But come in. Rest a spell." The shack was sparse, a wooden table, a lantern, a single chair, but felt alive, as if time hadn't touched it. Lila noticed a tin cup on the table, etched with a name, Jasper, 1912. The man saw her looking and said, "That's mine. Been here a while." He called himself Jasper. And there was something about him, solid, yet fleeting, like a memory you can't pin down. He offered them water from a canteen, cold despite the desert heat, and listened as Lila rambled about the raceway, the drivers, their dreams of leaving town. Rosie watched him closely, noticing how his shadow didn't quite match the lantern's light, how his boots left no dust on the floor. "You live here alone?" she asked. Jasper's eyes flickered. "I keep watch. This place, it holds onto things, stories, people, promises. He offered to look at their car, walking them back in the moonlight. His hands moved over the engine with a familiarity Rosie envied, adjusting the carburetor with a piece of wire he pulled from his pocket. The Nova roared to life, and Lila clapped, relieved. "You're a miracle, Jasper," she said. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Get home safe, girls, and don't forget this place. It's more than it seems." They drove off, waving, but when Rosie glanced in the rear view, the shack's light was gone, the mine swallowed by darkness. Back home, they didn't speak of Jasper, but the encounter lingered. Lila kept dreaming of the shack, the tin cup, Jasper's sad eyes. Rosie, practical as ever, checked the car the next day and found the wire he'd used, old, rusted, stamped with a maker's mark from 1910. They returned to the mine weeks later, but the shack was empty, its roof caved in, no sign of a lantern or life. Lila and Rosie carried the mystery into their lives. Lila moved to Los Angeles, chasing her dreams of writing, but always wrote about the desert, about men who seemed too real to be ghosts. Rosie stayed, opening a garage, her hand steady as she fixed cars and told no one about the wire she kept in a drawer. Their friendship endured, deepened by that night, by the question they never answered. Was Jasper a caretaker, a drifter, or something the mine held on to, a fragment of its lost years? Decades later, in their 50s, they returned to the Tropico, now a historical site. The shack was gone, but they stood where it had been, the desert wind whispering. Lila touched Rosie's arm. "You think he was real?" Rosie, gray now but still sharp-eyed, pulled out the wire, its rust flaking. "Real enough to save us." They laughed, soft and wistful, and left a stone on the ground, a marker for Jasper, for youth, for the night. The desert gave them a story no one else would ever know. Thank you for listening to my story. Till next time, may God smile on you and bless you.